Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on Business Incorporated, coming to you live from Lagos. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago. Today on the show, the Central Bank of Nigeria speaks on retail FX for Nigerians. The South African GDP expands by 0.6%, avoiding recession. Plus, Ethiopia's inflation slows to 5.9% in August from 6% the previous month. Well, we'll begin with the latest development in Nigeria's foreign exchange market, as a lot of people still find it difficult getting BTA from the banks. And if they do get it, they get it at black market rates. And the Central Bank of Nigeria says it's doing something about it. Now, let's talk to the acting head corporate communications, CBN, Mr. Isaac Okorafor, about this. Good afternoon, Mr. Okorafor. Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Okorafor. Hello, Mr. Okorafor, if you're hearing me there. Nigerians are finding it difficult accessing BTA from the retail market. Now, people who need about $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 can't even get it. And if they do, they get it at black market rate. Why is this so? And what is the central bank doing about this?
Hello, Chimeze, you see, let me just first of all, make this point. We have basically a very acute supply of short supply of dollars. We have dollars, and that's no longer needed. What the Bank of Nigeria is to ensure we have is channeled to the most important needs that we have. Now, for people who want to purchase small amounts of dollars for BTA, for PTA, we have a duty to provide them information on where they can get all this. Now, for people around the Abuja area, we can go to the Skybank branch on Dumbia Street in Abuja to purchase dollars. For instance, for today, it is 356. So it is important that we give this information. As we get other information about other areas like in Lagos, we will also transmit that to individuals who are interested. But for now, to help people ease the pain of the scarcity of dollars, we have this information. Those in Abuja area can go to Skybank, the Gimbia Street branch of Skybank, to get dollar at 356 naira to the dollar today. That is the information I need to pass on today.
All right, thank you very much, Isaac, for that update. We'll keep following up on that. In the meantime, the value of Nigeria's merchandise trade now stands at 3.94 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2016. In a report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the Bureau explains that this represents a 49% growth from the preceding quarter. The NBS attributes the increase to a rise in the value of exports and imports for the quarter. The current trade position brought the country's negative trade balance to 196.5 trillion naira during the period under review. Nigeria's import grew by 38.9% to 2.06 trillion naira due to a decline in the value of the naira. The depreciating naira also pushed the country's export value higher at 1.87 trillion naira in the second quarter of the year. And now, German Chancellor Angela Merkel at the just concluded G8 summit says G20 countries are working on rules to improve conditions for investment in Africa, and said she believed that it was urgent for more direct foreign investment to flow to the continent. So why this call by Angela Merkel at this time? Let's talk to my colleague in Frankfurt, Ulrich Bartz. Good afternoon, Ulrich. Thank you for joining us. Now, German Chancellor Angela Merkel talked about the need to increase inflow of foreign direct investment in Africa at the just concluded G20 summit. Now, in her words, we have 10 times more direct investment in the European Union than we have in the whole of Africa. South Africa was the only African country at the summit. Now, why do you think Merkel is calling for more investment in Africa? What's her interest?
I think there are many points that are involved there. There's so much room for growth in Africa. I mean, Europe is important because they're the existing most important trading partners, but there's so many African countries with huge potential, both activities on location with raw materials, for example, but also the huge population, lots of room for marketing stuff and manufacturing there. Another reason is perhaps the realization that the Chinese are going into Africa with huge investments and they're gobbling up lots of opportunities, and the Europeans should do so as well. And I think the main domestic political reason for Merkel to say what she did is that she sees a lot of migrants, refugees coming from Africa to Europe if economic conditions do not improve on that continent. It's a major issue here in Europe. I think it's the deciding issue at the moment here domestically in Germany. The fate of the Chancellery is involved there. So I think that's probably the major part of the motivation. But the economic issues are very important for this continent as well.
All right, let's look at some specific development in Germany where you are right now. The takeover talk between the German pharmaceuticals giant Bayer and its American rival Monsanto is back on the news. Now, this time Bayer has raised its offer for Monsanto to about $65 billion. Now, this talk has lingered. Do you see Monsanto agreeing to this new offer this time?
At this time, no. I think that they will wait for yet another hike of the offer, and if Bayer doesn't go along, then Bayer will have to make a hostile bid. I think Monsanto knows that Bayer needs and wants to become larger. It wants to become the player in the agricultural chemical market, and if it doesn't get Monsanto, there's very little opportunity to get there. So it's a central part of the Bayer strategy. At the moment, Monsanto knows that. Investors here in Germany, Bayer investors generally, don't like this deal, though. Monsanto has a bad name, ethical issues there with genetically modified seed, the way Monsanto, for example, treats farmers that are its customers. People don't like to see Bayer get involved with Monsanto, but of course the population at large doesn't have a say. It's the investors in the end who will decide.
Now, the manufacturing data coming out from Germany shows that manufacturing orders rose in July less than expected. What factors are driving this figure, and how is the market reacting to that data?
Well, the market was neither shocked nor relieved at this data. It was, it was less good than expected, yes, but it still shows that there are a lot of people out there ordering German industrial goods. The foreign customers are ordering it. The problem is domestically. Domestic factory orders are on hold. They're actually going down by several percent, no, I don't have the number for that. In the Eurozone orders, they went up by 5.9%, so that's healthy, but I know the domestic orders went down by a considerable margin, and that's the problem at the moment, and they're going down because of all those political issues out there, not least the Brexit, which people assume will hit Germany when the British start feeling the problems and having to save and economize perhaps on German factory goods.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Ulrich. Now, the head of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, has called on world leaders at the G20 summit to work towards more inclusive economic growth. While speaking to the press at the end of the summit in the eastern Chinese city of Hangzhou, Ms. Lagarde explained that inclusive growth would address the concerns of people who feel that they are not reaping the benefits of economic growth. She noted that the IMF is working with Chinese authorities to implement ideas and policies discussed at the summit to tackle a sluggish world economy. And South Africa's GDP grows by 0.6% in the second quarter of this year. Details in a moment.
Channels TV.